So I'm here with Richard.
Hi, my name's Richard, unsurprisingly. And Shay is going to show me this movie, I think, called 2001, A Space Odyssey.
So do you know anything about this movie, Richard?
No, but I just want to clarify first. A movie is the long thing that you watch on Netflix, right?
And fuck Disney Plus. Netflix only. Endorsed, Richard.
Well, I'm just too stingy to have more than one subscription. Do you know what? The other day, I saw a show advertised that I thought would look really good, or a movie, or something that you watch.
Yeah.
I went to watch it, and it wasn't available, and you could only watch it at certain times. And
disgusting.
Disgusting!
I actually laughed out loud that they expect me to make an appointment to watch TV.
That's how it used to be. See, this is what you would know if you would watch TV at a correct age.
I don't know that I ever would have had time, even when I was a stupid kid, to watch TV like that.
So did you want to give some background, or you don't have to, of why you don't watch TV?
Okay, so I came up in a very conservative religious environment whereby watching TV was forbidden and also not done. And, you know, to many people this sounds like a terrible blighted childhood, but really the thing is that it wasn't, because what you do not have, you do not miss. In the same way as that if some amazing new peanut butter spread gets invented tomorrow, we're not actually sad that we haven't tasted it yet today.
Yeah, but you could go, damn, I've been missing out all these years.
Yeah, but the positive way to say it is, damn, I need to get my fill of this to make up for the past few years.
Silver linings, I guess.
Looking on the bright side, I know that.
All right.
Now, just one more little thing there. I gather that for this movie, there may be other parts of the movie that are almost as important as the narrative.
Yes.
Don't bring this into a political thing, Shay. I know that we are cultured, art-appreciated people. I'm an opinionated fuck, you know that.
So, well, we've watched 3 movies together before this. Would you like to say what they are?
Okay, so there was Sonic the Hedgehog.
Quality. Starting high.
I thought to myself at first, this is all such childish rubbish. I can't believe that even a 7-year-old would sit through watching this nonsense. But by the end it became all emotional. I just about had tears running down my cheeks. The other one that we watched, which was not a movie for 7-year-olds, was Salò.
I don't know, I show that to 7-year-olds all the time. The police don't like that, though.
No, I imagine not. I remain morally, mentally, and sexually scarred to this day.
Well, you had to see naked girls. That's disgusting.
Yuck. The last movie was called Lighthouse. Lighthouse is an interesting movie because it was filmed back in the days when the world was black and white. What was that? Prior to about 1910?
It was filmed last year.
Oh, right. Well, it was attempting to portray the world in black and white.
Yeah, it was all square and shit. Like, when did the world get widescreen? Because did you notice the aspect ratio? Do you remember that?
Actually, you mentioned it. Said, I did not used to know the square aspect ratio either.
In the way that, a Christian martyr might have continued their faith even while they were being burnt, or am I supposed to feel humour that's really quite funny to try and do a monologue about the youth of today when there's gravel filling up your mouth, or am I supposed to feel sadness that humanity is so bad, or was so bad, or am I just supposed to think that old sea captains are fucking ridiculous?
I don't know. This isn't a review of The Lighthouse.
Sorry that you asked.
Yeah, have you seen any of Kubrick's other films?
Not knowingly, but probably, yes.
Yeah, you watched a bit of The Shining, eh?
Oh, The Shining. Right.
Yeah,
Do you want my commentary on The Shining?
Yeah, I know you don't like it because you like the book, but that's wrong. So, wrong opinions.
So, do you want to review 2001: A Space Odyssey? Now, is an Odyssey a long story, or is it a long story with a specific ending?
I don't know. What's the Odyssey with you?
That's not how you say the word Odyssey. No, but Shay, don't worry, because your jokes are never that funny.
Cunt. Alright, 2001. Let's go.
Dave, do you mind if I ask you a personal question?
No, not at all.
I've wondered whether you might be having some second thoughts about the mission.
How do you mean?
Rumors about something being dug up on the moon. I never gave these stories much credence, but particularly in view of some of the other things that have happened, I find them difficult to put out of my mind.
So we're back from watching the movie. And Richard, what did you think?
Great movie. I liked it a lot.
Do you want to try to explain the plot?
No, because I'll look like an idiot. I suppose if I explain the things that I didn't quite get, you'd be able to backwards engineer that into the plot. So, yeah, okay. It's reasonably obvious. There's these monoliths buried. One buried, obviously, in Jupiter or some such planet. Another one apparently found on the lunar surface. And when you talk about the lunar surface, I assume that means Earth's lunar surface.
Well, the one on Earth isn't buried. It just appears.
Yes.
Because it wasn't there when the monkeys went to sleep, right?
No,
so
quite right.
Yeah.
I did think that their fright at it was a little bit contrived. Like, okay, piss off, stupid piece of not carbonated, but carbon ferrous metal that happened during the night. But it's not a live thing. They're not scared of it.
Well,
the monkey knows the difference between a stupid new object and a stupid new animal, surely.
I think that's because you're looking at the monoliths literally. It's something we cannot comprehend. Is something how I look at it. I think a lot of people look at it. Is these monoliths are something that it is incredible. Like when the scientists found it on the moon, it was something that had never seen before. It was unreal. They called it a monolith, but they were like, this is exceptional. Especially like we'll probably get to it later with all the lights at the end. Right,
yes.
the thing that looks like a screensaver.
Yeah, great. Yeah. Took too long, but it was great.
It was a bit long, eh? I like to feel like that is trying to show us something that couldn't even be described to us. This is a representation of something that we wouldn't even be able to understand.
Yep.
So if we saw it, this is like kind of how our brains would try to process it. But
yes,
like it's like seeing
enough.
a fourth dimension.
Or a new colour or whatever. And at that stage, all the monoliths are physically aligned, with the result that he sees lights, if you like, the ones that you described as being like a screensaver.
Yeah. Well, tell me I'm wrong.
No, I know what you mean. Then it's as though he's arrived in a new sanctuary for him, or if you like, perhaps from this point I didn't quite get it all, or if you like, perhaps welcome to the rest of the world by giving the humans something that they're familiar with.
Yeah.
Obviously, the aliens thought that most humans lived in stately houses.
Well, you notice that like there's some weird things in the layout of the room, trying to create our culture.
Yes, that was very much what I gathered about it. Those sculptures were also obviously a little bit wrong from the point of view that they were neither Greco nor Roman or whatever.
Yeah. It's slightly uncanny from our perspective. It's like this is human, but it's not at the same time. It's slightly off, and it seems like what Kubrick was going for.
Yep. Okay, so I got a little bit confused. Like I thought that Dave saw that person eating. Is Dave then off the scene at that stage, or is he the person that comes in the bed?
It's the same person.
Well, that's what I thought,
yes.
But I didn't see how he saw himself, because it was, it looked like the same person as far as the face and so on went, albeit age.
When the entire time he was in that room, he kept seeing himself. Like he was in the ship, then he saw himself standing outside. Then that guy walked into the bathroom, turned around, and saw the guy sitting at the table. And then that guy dropped the glass and saw the guy in the bed. So I think it's another way to show that we can't comprehend living in this place, even though they've designed this room to look human. Even then, we can't grasp it. It's so different. It's like an animal living in a zoo.
To understand that.
Which is more or less what Kubrick was going for with a zoo type.
So yes, and then there's that little human, sort of human, nearly human thing.
Yes.
Not quite as
Space
human.
baby.
Not quite as human as the rooms were rooms. Obviously, this film was produced in 67, 8, 9?
68.
So there are some things about it that speak, I think, a little bit to that era.
Well, there's a few things like moving on the moon and stuff, which I felt is like it's not accurate to how you see in the moon landing footage. But then it's like, hold up, the moon landing was the year after this. Kubrick just invented this shit
in the era of the space race. Commie fear was well and truly alive in the States at that stage.
Yeah, so that's why I like the confrontation on the space station with the Russians.
Yes.
They had that whole conversation, why didn't you let us land there? The space treaty says we should be able to land on the space. I found it quite interesting. In this world, the USSR is still alive and well. It's quite fun to see a future design from the past, retrofuturism.
Yes, yes.
Flexing my big words right there.
Yeah, I love it. Just another thing about the 60s.
You remember it fondly, or?
No, but I can see it in this thing. This actually speaks to what I said earlier about Wendy, what's her name, in The Shining.
Oh, yeah.
Stanley Kubrick obviously hates women.
He's looking forward to the future. Did he actually think that a woman would be so ridiculous in the future? And the other thing is that there are plenty of strong women in novels written within a few years of that. Like the ones, have you ever read the original Count Dracula by Bram Stoker? No. Okay, well, the women are ludicrously stupid and silly and, without personality or brain or forethought, and particularly totally lacking in any sort of positive initiative other than wanting to open windows and take the garlic out to make it kind of smelly, you know what I'm saying?
Anyway, sorry.
So what did you think of the beginning of the movie with the monkeys, with the pre-humans, pretty much?
Look, that was quite cute. I thought it took a little bit too long. Like, I've got the point. I mean, assuming you get the point, which I didn't. Which I didn't necessarily, is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, I sort of felt, well, yeah, I've got the point. This is, you say it, the rise of man, and that's quite obvious. I did feel that they sort of overlabored that point.
So what do you think the monolith actually is doing?
So I'm a little bit scared of doing this. It seemed to me as though it's trying to say, at some stage in the future, everything will align, and that will be the signal for the aliens to come in, and that possibly they have been observing prior to the start of man.
Sure. The two things I've heard before, it's either the monoliths are there to watch, they're there to observe, right?
Right.
So
because they did detect a magnetic pulse, didn't they? I mean, that might be a homing beacon rather than a piece of information, but yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, it shows up just before the monkeys learn how to use tools. That's like a progression from being a mindless animal to being a human. Yeah, right. They use the tools. They kill each other. You see the first murder, and this is
I don't know if it is a murder if it's a different species, but anyway.
Yeah. So the thing is, did the monolith come down to watch as we discovered the use of tools, or did it come to teach? Did its appearance and the monkeys touching the monolith teach them how to use the tools?
Interesting.
Because when he picked up the bone, it then flashes to him touching the monolith, and then he smacks it. Right at the end, after he'd killed the monkey, he threw a stick in the air. They cut it to the space shuttle.
Yes, yeah.
And then that's showing the progression from these tools that we use to now these tools. These better, more sophisticated tools.
Yeah, and hey, that intelligence thing, if you like, we're going to give this thing some intelligence. Yes. Suddenly it has an interesting juxtaposition.
With hell.
Say that. With hell. Yes. Exactly.
So then when they go to the moon to check out the monolith, they touch it, then it sends a beacon to Jupiter, right? So is that the monolith going, hey yo, they've discovered me, and sends information to their masters or whatever, that would be in the observing camp.
Yeah.
Or is it going, you found me, now go there? Yeah, is it leading them to it? Or is it just there to observe and then to watch their progression? Which is interesting. I think it's teaching.
Yes, yeah, but if you're saying the people sent the monoliths to give us some instructions in hopes that we would soon have pots and pans to make things easier and preferably air fryers.
Yeah.
But actually what we ended up with was axes and clubs and guns and shit.
Oh my!
Axes and clubs and guns and...
Oh my!
Yeah, maybe
not to mention the occasional nuclear weapon or two. Well, quite a few more than that in 68.
Not where we are though, so it's okay. So a thing I did really like about Hal is watching him beat one of the guys at chess.
Yeah.
Which is something that didn't actually happen until the 80s.
Interesting point, yes.
Yeah,
you're quite right, Deep Blue, yes.
Yeah, so Deep Blue bet the best
human
in the world or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Was it Garry Kasparov? Yes, it was. Another Russian.
Other than just the concept of the singularity, right? Beating a human at chess has always been considered like, this is peak robot intelligence. Especially in the 60s. They would go, there's no way. If a robot could beat someone at chess, who knows what it could do. Now it can beat us at chess, at Go. I just watched it beat someone at golf today. It's nuts.
A robot beating
someone. Probably easier than winning chess, honestly.
Well, yes. I mean, it's, in terms of programming, yes. You just have to program trajectories and so on, I suppose. Yeah. Okay, so the sound, really good sound all the way through the movie.
Great score, and sound design, like just like the heavy breathing and
the heavy breathing. I did quite like it, but I got a bit sick of it after a while.
Right.
I think it's because they turned it on and turned it off a little bit. Yeah. Whereas if one was actually sitting beside you in a movie and you were breathing like that, eventually my brain would tune it out, I think.
Right.
Also, the whistling of the air and all the rest of it didn't seem to me to serve much of a storyline, and wasn't really distinguishable from what might have been environmental noise. I was never quite too sure whether it was your toilet running or whether it was air escaping from the... You know what I'm saying? So I didn't... But that said, some of the sounds, particularly when they moved down the ramp on Jupiter, was it? The yellow ramp.
On the moon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, was that on the moon or on Jupiter? I thought that was on...
well, Jupiter doesn't have any surface, so it's not on Jupiter.
I've never been there myself.
Yeah, okay, it's lovely this time, yeah.
So, Hell Computer, I was suspicious of from day one, but that's because it had a computer accent from the 1960s.
Well, yeah, see, like, because this movie is so old and so famous, right, there's so many things are based off this. Like, I don't know, like, if you played, like, Portal or anything like that. Like, there's lots of video games and movies and stuff that are all, like, based off this, like, killer robot. Think of it before this movie, and it probably never existed, this trope.
Yes, and it's really quite hard for us to imagine now just how groundbreaking that whole movie would have been in 1968.
Oh, yeah.
Surely everybody was suspicious of Hell when he kept saying, there has never been an error, blah, blah, blah. It was strongly along the lines of, this ship could not be sunk. Come on, we discovered that in 1920.
It was a little on the nose, just very
I
mission accomplished.
Yeah, I get it. A computer saying all systems go is different from a human with that gross level of confidence. But on the other hand, it was still a ludicrously over self-confident computer. That part about the whole Hell thing, that sort of strange feeling that Dave starts to get about things, before Hell starts talking about the mission. That is very, very well done.
Oh yeah, it's a great like tension and seeing them come up with the theories of what he could be doing, and then go, shit, we kind of need him to run this whole ship.
Yes, the only thing is the build-up was so well done with Hell's over self-confidence and all the rest of it, that actually that little discussion that they went and had while he was watching and not hearing was a little bit unnecessary. It would have heightened the suspense of the film if we hadn't had any audio of that.
Yeah, interesting. If we were just watching him reading their lips.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be an interesting way to put it.
Come on. They should have been more suspicious. Come on. You're in space. You've got a computer running the thing.
I know you haven't watched many movies, right? But you still have the knowledge of like a pop culture of don't trust evil robots. Your Terminators, your Space Odysseys, all these things.
Surely somebody in the 1960s would have thought the same thing from the point of view that they would have been even less of a known quantity. Isaac Asimov's I, Robot and all the rest of it. The idea of robots becoming sentient and taking over is not a new one. It's certainly not new 1968. And in fairness, of course, they weren't actually too sure whether he had any sentience. That was made clear in the BBC interview that we watched.
Do you think Hal's motives were to just complete the mission correctly, or was he actually sentient and wanting to prolong his life?
I think he had some mysterious master plan, possibly to go there as a representative of the human race himself, much as that doesn't make any sense because he can't walk in. But the way that what you say about the apes learning to use tools and kill each other and all the rest of it, I think that he had something of not so much self-preservation, but I want to be the next evolved thing. Thanks.
Yeah, that is interesting.
I mean, surely he's a little bit jealous that he can't go and repair the I-72, of which there's never anything wrong with, and they should have known that. But it is really how non-paranoid they are about him during that period is really quite unrealistic.
Interesting. That's an interesting way to put it.
Then the tension when he was taking those memory banks out, that was really good.
My brain is going. My mind is going.
Yeah, but the tension, because I kept expecting him to, squirt some molten lava from the...
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, it shows how much, he didn't have any
physical
thing to do, right? At that point, he knew he was fucked, and he was like, pleading for his life, please don't do this. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, shit.
At the end, those special effects, Too long, far too long, but very, very, very cool.
Yeah, I can agree it does go a little long. Do you like the black screen with just the music? It was the start of the movie and after the intermission?
Yes, it didn't go on too long.
Yeah.
So yes, I do quite like that.
I have a story about that. So I saw this movie in theaters, like released and like re-released, obviously not in the 60s.
Yeah.
And they didn't fucking turn the lights off until after the music.
That's so stupid.
And then there was
but the thing is that you'll probably find that people then got up out of their seats and say, "We can hear the music, but the thing isn't working."
I don't believe so. Because anyone who went to it would have already seen the movie before.
Oh, right.
I feel, because, why would you go to Space Odyssey, if you haven't seen it. It was so annoying. And then after the intermission, they left the lights on until after the music again. And then as soon as the picture came on, then the lights came down. It was just like, this thing is here, Kubrick put it here, this is part of the movie. God damn
Perhaps
it.
they didn't want absolute blackness in the cinema, is the only thing that I can think of there. A health and safety thing or something.
Still annoyed me.
I quite liked the eye, by the way.
That was really cool.
That was good.
The red eye.
Yeah.
I really like when he, just before he kills the astronaut in space, it like zooms into the spaceship and it shows that he's controlling it.
Oh yes, I do really quite like the fact that every now and then they show his eye, and that is really quite a good device for his presence, which eventually becomes threatening.
If you had to rate this movie, give it a really blank and easy to understand number, I normally go out of 5, like star-wise. I know putting your whole opinions down to a rating system it's hard, right? Because it doesn't represent your feelings for the movie.
Yeah, also, it's difficult for me to rate it when I haven't given you any ratings for any other movies. Do you know what I'm saying? If The Shining was half a star or 1 star at the very best, this is easily 4.5.
I see.
It's really, like, I actually do. I think it's a great movie. I think it's everything about it, other than the one or two things that I've discussed. My biggest single problem with it is how long it takes those astronauts to realise that hell is or could be dangerous. That annoys me. People should be more sensible. People should be more scared of. I'm
very trusting of my toaster. So should I not be?
No, toasters put things on fire all the time.
Only
and when you stick them with knives, you get electric shocks. Horrible things.
It's not attacking you. Why are you stabbing it with knives?
To get the toast out that it swallowed that I was supposed to eat.
I've given it 5 stars because I love this movie, right?
I gave it 4.5 because I didn't have, I haven't watched any other 4.5 movies. You know what I'm saying?
I understand.
Just how amazing it must have been in the 60s is almost impossible to comprehend.
Well, you look at it now and you go, even though it is clear you can see the time frame, it is so impressive. Like that shot of her with the Velcro shoes walking up the wall it's golden.
Yes, it's really
insane. Cool. Like, you watch this and go, this was the inspiration to Inception. I don't know if you've seen Inception. It's a Christopher Nolan movie.
No, but I've heard of it.
Right. Well, there's a very famous scene where they have a hallway and it's spinning and it's all done practically. And I talked about it in one of my videos. It's just like you see the inspiration of this genius. Like, he's probably the first person to do something like that in cinema. Yes,
and certainly spinning rooms in spaceships are a thing in plenty of movies. And as you say, Stanley Kubrick, he should have stuck to space movies and left horror alone.
He made The Shining 2 years after this.
He'd obviously used up all his genius for this.
Well, obviously. He's one of the best directors ever. Like, all his movies are, perfect.
The Shining is
except The Shining, clearly half a star.
But hey, yeah, that was a great experience.
Do you think this is better than the Sonic movie or worse than the Sonic movie? Is that a 5-star? Is that what you consider a 5-star film?
No. No, look, this is better by whole yards of magnitude. It's a little bit... I mean, it's not really a fair comparison.
Of course not.
In that The Shining is a better book than Thomas the Tank Engine, but probably I would have preferred
you're going to do my boy Thomas like that?
Thomas the Tank Engine when I was a 9-year-old. And Sonic the Hedgehog, yes, good, but it's a light appetizer. It's not a main meal.
But you think this is better than Salò and the Lighthouse?
Oh, yeah, yes, hugely by orders of magnitude. Yes, no, but orders by magnitude is not fair. Yes, it is better than both of those. What year was Salò produced? The one that we watched?
I think it was the 70s, but we can have a look. What's your thought on the Lighthouse?
Look, The Lighthouse was not as deep as this. It was not as much about meal. We couldn't have talked about The Lighthouse for half as long as we've talked about this. Well, it was just less components.
I think me and someone else could have, right? Like
maybe I don't have enough culture to understand this deep stuff.
Oh man, you're gonna have a much higher IQ if you're meant to understand this. So Salò came out in 1975.
The thing is, when I watched Salò, I was more like, goodness me, this is disgraceful. But yeah, as far as the cinematography goes, is that the word?
Yes.
For that in the 70s, yes, it was very, very well done.
Yeah,
so if I take away my moral objections, then yeah, so Salò was really produced very well, particularly for the 1970s. At least a 3.5 for Salò, if not a 4. So yeah, thanks for that. I feel enlightened.
You feel heavily cultured.
Yes, lightly cultured, perhaps, but
only a drizzle of culture, please.
Awesome, good movie. Thanks, Shay.
Okay, that's all the time I've got. I gotta get back to playing Animal Crossing New Leaf on my Nintendo 3DS.